Most leaders obsess over talent on their team, and they should, but they overlook the one element that makes a team great. And today, you're going to find out exactly what that is. And to help us do that, we're going to go to the world of the NBA and basketball and look at the example from Draymond Green, the star Warriors player who gave us something that you might not have seen if you had watched the game. During his post-game press conference after a win that sent his team into the NBA playoffs, he didn't talk about the game. He highlighted one of his teammates. In fact, one of his teammates that didn't even play in the game. His name is Trayce Jackson-Davis. And Trayce Jackson-Davis is not currently in the rotation. Now, for non-basketball fans, that means he's not getting minutes in the game, but he's eligible to come in the game. He's on the team, but he's not contributing on the floor. And one of his teammates, who's a rookie, is, and they just so happen to play the same position. Now, most NBA teams, they have a unwritten rule that if there's not a seat available on the bench, the rookies sit on the floor near the bench. Well, Trayce Jackson-Davis knew this unwritten rule, and he saw his rookie teammate coming off the floor, and he knew there were no seats available on the bench. Trayce Jackson-Davis could have just said, "Hey, rookie, sit on the floor," but he didn't do that. He made a selfless act, and he looked at his rookie teammate that was getting minutes instead of him, and he said, "You take my seat." And he went over and stood in the tunnel. Well, the veteran Draymond Green watched this thing happen. And he knew that that is exactly what great teammates were. They were selfless in nature. He went on to tell the media, he said it was so good. He said, that's what every team needs. Selfless guys like that. And he's right. It's what your team needs. Yes, it needs talent, but it needs selfless teammates to make it go and to win over and over and over again. And to share this with you, to teach this to you, I'm going to share with you what's called the talent cross matrix. Now, on the vertical axis, what you see is ability and inability. You can think of this as your talent line. On the horizontal axis, you have selfless and selfish. You can think about this as your character line. Now, what happens is what leaders want on their team is they want talent. So they want people with high ability. But what they don't often consider is the character line. They don't consider teammates that are high selfless or selfish. So what happens here is that when you get teammates that are high selfless and high ability, those are your ideal team members. When you have teammates that are high ability and selfish in nature, those are dangerous team members. When you have team members that are low in inability, but they're selfish in nature, those are problems. And when you have teammates that are inability, but are selfless in nature, those are humble teammates. Now, your job as a leader is to get as many team members as you can that are selfless and have high ability. Now, they're not easy to find, so you have to create a culture that teaches team members how to be selfish, because selflessness is learnable. It is built in a culture. So your job isn't just to attract talent. It is, but it's to shape and elevate selfless and high character in the teammates that you do have. And then lastly, look to attract people like that on your team. I mean, recruit for selfless teammates that have high ability. So here's the challenge to you. Look at your team this week, and where do each of the team members that you have fall in the talent cross matrix? If you have team members that fall in high selflessness and high ability, you got to continue to challenge them and to continue to get that behavior on an ongoing basis. If you have team members that are high in selflessness but need to work on their ability, you need to coach them up and coach them hard. Develop their skills so they can move up and their skills can improve. If you have team members that are selfish but have high talent, you need to put a yellow star around them. They are dangerous. You need to be really thoughtful about them as an ongoing part of your team. And if you have selfish team members that don't have great ability, it's time to move on. And most importantly, of all the things that you do, you are the model for selfless leadership on your team. Your example of being a selfless leader is what they will know. It's what they will look to model themselves. So instead of just looking at your team, it is important. Look at your example that you give them, because leadership is caught more than taught. And your job is to be a great example of your team, because your actions will always speak louder than your words. So if you want a team that lasts, if you want a team that wins over and over and over again, know that your culture compounds, that your example matters, and that you can't just look for talent. You've got to look for selfless talent. Now, I don't know if the Golden State Warriors will win the championship again this year, but I do know one of the reasons that they've been a dynasty for so long is because they don't just have talented players. They have talented players who are selfless, and it helps them, their team, meet their potential. My hope is that this will help you lead your team to get repeated wins more often by thinking about the talent cross matrix. Until next time, be a great leader at work and at home.